Hello, this is Joseph Crane. I don't know if you heard my last transmission, if it even uploaded, but a few vehicles broke down in Sector 16, the last segment of our caravan. And that's why it's been so long since I've been able to upload. I'm sure you've noticed on the date stamp that it's been a few weeks. I'm part of a repair crew, and we've been repairing all day long for days. And I just now have had enough time to stop and gather my thoughts, gather my notes, and upload again our history. So, we couldn't move fast enough on the rough way. The vehicles that broke down, we couldn't get to them quick enough to repair them, at least all of them, to get them out of there before the darkness came. They were already too far behind. If we were on a straight way, that wouldn't have been the case. They couldn't move fast enough, and we couldn't fix them fast enough. And because of that, we lost some people. My problem with that is that here in our society, people that we lose, they're never remembered. Everything's on the move, everything's going and never stopping. And when someone dies, we don't have time to do anything about it. We bury them if we can, we have a service if it's convenient, if we're on a straight way and everybody's rested. If not, they usually just get tossed in a hole. Those that love them weep. Those that didn't know them just keep on driving like nothing changed. As far as I know, we don't write their names down anyway. We don't remember them, so I've chosen to remember them here on my broadcast. I've written down their names in my notebook, an old leather-bound notebook I got. It's got 3 names in it now. And those are the ones we've lost on the attack. Mary Carther, Jaron Carther. I knew them. They were good people. Mary Carther was one of the few ones around here that actually had a smile when you talked to her. Most people just want to find out what you want, get you away so they can keep going. She actually cared. She would ask how you were doing. And I think she meant it. Jaron Carther, he was a good man. I didn't see him much because he was busy working. Their kids are with their friends. Corey Flynn is another one that we lost. I didn't know him, but now you do. At least you know his name, so he won't be forgotten. I'm doing this recording and I'm transmitting all of this because I don't want mankind forgotten. But more than that, I don't want us forgotten as people, as individuals. As we lose more people to this life, that list will grow and we'll talk about them. What happened, however, made it clear to me that I should probably explain our way of life. Because it probably doesn't make sense how, if a vehicle is breaking down, how people will die because of that. A vehicle breaking down probably doesn't sound very dangerous to you. So now I think that you need to know our way of life and why we couldn't save them all. I've been writing notes so I can try to cover everything as best as possible in this upload. This is the life as I know it. Food. How do we get food if we're always on the move? Well, first off, let me start with this. We're always on the move. We all live in vehicles, different vehicles. Each vehicle has its own function, and it's all driving. We're all driving. And why is that? Well, it's because we need to stay away from the darkness, because if you go in the darkness, you die. Simple as that. I'll explain about dying later. I'll start with living. how do we eat? We hunt for animals that are on this planet, obviously, for meats and nutrients and things like that. And because everything that wants to live has to stay in the light, we have special crews designed and staffed just for keeping an eye on the animals. The shepherds. Quite an interesting profession, if you ask me, but it's a very important one. They're one of the most revered around here. Because of them, or at least partly because of them, we're able to keep a steady supply of meat going. The breeders that are part of the shepherd's profession, the breeders themselves are very respected. The animals, they feed on the foliage. Since we're only on one section of the planet for a short time each cycle, the foliage in that area has plenty of time to grow, though the animals never run out of food. We obviously need more than just meat, so we also have farm ships. They're large vehicles that pull flatbeds where our vegetation is grown. Every plant that we need, every type of vegetation that we need to survive, because sometimes the section that we're in on the planet doesn't have any vegetation, or if it does, it's not edible. Each flatbed has rows and rows of vegetation, and they stretch for kilometers. They're very protected from the local wildlife and from other people. Botanist. That's the profession of the farm ships. The closest I can come to describing them is an old word I once read in an old book. Royalty. Important, yes. Highly protected. Very revered. They think, or know, rather, I guess, that without them we wouldn't survive. To be honest with you, without a lot of us, none of us would survive, but they somehow think they're special. The farm ships are followed by cleaner crews. Cleaner crews do that. They clean. They clean the dust off the plants to keep them healthy. I don't really know what that does. I'm not a botanist. I'm a mechanic. Not only do they clean the dust, but they also protect the farm ships. And they will kill anything that gets close to the plants. You know, animals that want to come and eat them. Birds and things like that. And people that they don't trust. So generally, we all stay away from them. I've heard stories of a few people that got a little too close. I don't really know what their intentions were. They could have been nefarious for all I know. They might have deserved it, but they got a little too close and they got shot. Right then, right there, no questions asked. Dead. Everyone lives on the move, all the time. Rough lands and straightways. Rough lands are everything that's not a straightway. Straightways are pieces of land that are long and flat and easy to navigate over. They lead to periods of rest, parties, celebrations, easy repairs. They're my favorite sections of a cycle because everything's on a flat road. It's easy to repair. I mean, sometimes we can even stop a vehicle and make repairs, and it can catch up where it goes to its section. Roughlands. Like I said, it's everything that's not a straightway. Roughlands are hills, mountains, bumps, rocks, everything in the way. Forests with trees, jungles, bogs. Everything that's not easy to drive through. Those are my least favorite sections. Very hard to repair, very hard for everybody. Hard for the botanists, hard for the herders. Get the animals through there, hard for us repairmen. Everything moves. It is as though we are stationary and the world moves around us. Living quarters, food supply, armory, research, storage, depositories, repair trucks. Repair trucks. Those are my favorite because that's my profession. It's the most common profession, I'll admit it, but I think it's one of the most necessary. I could be biased. Highly mobile. They carry a lot of tools because they use those tools to make repairs, obviously, on all the vehicles. Repair trucks are found in every single sector. The ones in the higher sectors, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those guys, they stay in their sectors and they only repair vehicles of their sector. the farther sections, sectors 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yada yada, we typically stick to our own sector when repairing, but we will go out of our way if another repair crew calls on us. But after that, they owe us. Each repair truck is followed by satellites, small vehicles that are used to retrieve repair parts from depositories. A vehicle is driving and it breaks down. Something breaks. A tire explodes. Something on the engine breaks. A belt snaps. Okay, they make a call out on the radio to the nearest repair truck. The nearest repair truck will respond to that call and go to that vehicle after locating it. Once at that vehicle, we will assess the damage and send out a satellite. The satellites are the small vehicles that will drive from the repair location to that sector's parts depository. The satellite grabs it, brings it back to the repair location, and the repair crew fixes that vehicle. On straightaways they're easy, on rough lands they start to get a little scary. That's what happened. Sector 16, one of the last sectors. We were on rough lands. 2 vehicles went out at the same time, major repairs. One engine, its piston blew straight through the block. Just straight out. There was a hole through it. As soon as I rolled up on the scene, I looked at it. I didn't even open the hood of the vehicle. I could see the engine block from the outside. They were wanting me to tell them that I could fix it, but I couldn't even lie to them. And there was nobody else willing to take them on. Everybody else in Sector 16 is already full. So they became casts. And because of the Roughlands, they were already too close to the dark, and we had to leave. They asked that we take them with us, but we couldn't do that. It's kind of a rule that we all have to follow, because if the repair trucks go down because we're too busy taking on people or transporting people instead of fixing things, then a lot more people are gonna die. And the other vehicle, its drivetrain was shot. It hit a rock or something, I wasn't sure. We had actually, by that time, we had already lost the Carthers to the dark, and I was having a hard time concentrating. And I couldn't get it, couldn't fix it in time. That was Corey's vehicle. And no one around him, well, everybody around him had already left. So there was nothing we could do. Anyways, nothing we could do before the dark came. Now, what is the dark? That is a good question. Explaining all this time how people, if they're left behind for too long, they will die. You're probably wondering why that is, or you already know. But in any case, I'm going to tell you anyways. A long time ago when our ancestors were here, we had what was called a utopia. It's everything was good. Everything was perfect. After the bad landing, nobody wanted to fight over anything, so we just built. They just built their cities and their vehicles and all that stuff. Something came out of the sky and hit the planet hard. One of the sections of the planet, as we drive by, we can see it, a giant hole in the ground. And that's where it landed. I don't know what it was. Nobody does. I don't know what it was, where it came from. But all I know is that when that landed, something terrible came out of it. Something evil and hungry. And it started killing and destroying everything. It's kind of blurry from then to when our history started as caravanners, because everybody had to rush to get on the move, because apparently whatever landed couldn't live in the light. It only lived in the dark, where there was no light. So as long as they were in the light, people lived. And as the dark moved across the planet, those that stayed died. People started understanding pretty quickly that they needed to get on the move, just stay in the light. And here you have us now. This is mankind now. What just happened with the Carthers and with Corey was the closest I've ever been to the dark. And I don't want to get that close. Hello?
Hello? Joseph?
Who's this? Why are you on this frequency? It's encoded.
I've been listening.
Why?
You're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Everything.
Everything
about the dark, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. Everybody knows that's how it
I
is.
can't talk anymore. I have to go.
Hello?